Hello everyone, it's Oliver Harper here, and I'm back for the final Q&A of 2017. Hope you all had a great Christmas. Mine's been pretty good. Done a lot of drinking, a lot of eating, and been watching quite a lot of Netflix. Watched Unabomber, which was a superb series, and now I've just started watching Mindhunter, the show produced and directed by David Fincher. I think he directs about 4 episodes of this kind of 10 episode series, but I'm 4 episodes in, and it's amazing. So highly recommended if you've got Netflix. Now let's kick it off with the first question from Reese Davis. Hi Oliver, I know you love film scores, but what other kinds of music do you listen to? I myself love heavy metal and rock music. I used to love heavy metal and rock music in my teenage years when I was going through my grumpy Kevin phase, as it were. I love like Faith No More, Korn, Soundgarden, Rob Zombie, but I kind of grew out of it. Not essentially grew out of it, but kind of changed my taste in music. I still really like Faith No More. I think they're superb, and I love their old stuff. But I kind of moved into kind of 80s pop music, like Nick Kershaw, Howard Jones, Duran Duran, Aha, Eurythmics, Tears for Fears, things like that. So yeah, I'm all kind of about 80s pop synth. But I still, go back to some of the select kind of rock music. Actually, one rock band I love from the 80s is Magnum. Fucking superb band. They On a Storyteller's Night, that album is one of the best. Next question is from The Wolfman. Question number 1. Hi Oliver, I'd like to know your thoughts on the King Kong movies from 1933, 1976, 2005 in general, and whether or not you'd eventually consider making a retrospective video on any of them. I've not seen the 30s classic for a very long time. The 70s one I get asked a lot to review, and so far I've not covered it, but I will review it in future, and when I review the 70s one I will discuss the 30s one in a kind of small capacity to sort of give the 70s review some sort of groundwork. The 2005 Peter Jackson movie I really like. It is a tad too long, and obviously it's very much a passion project for Peter Jackson. There's a couple of kind of ropey kind of CGI kind of compositing which people like to point out quite a lot. The director's cut I enjoyed as well, but that is again very long. Yeah, I think I'm not sure if I will review that in great detail, but maybe. I mean, if I review the 70s one and people really enjoy that, then I'll cover the Peter Jackson film. Question number 2. How important is it for a novel-based movie to follow its source material? In some cases, people complain that it's too different, but in others, like The Shining, no one seems to complain, although the movie is different from the book. I think a movie that's kind of been adapted from a book should stay faithful to the material, but you also have to provide audiences with some surprises, because a lot of people go in, if they've read the book, will know what's going to happen. In my case I saw Inferno, the kind of the third Dan Brown kind of to film adaptation with Tom Hanks as Robert Langdon. I thought the film was rubbish, and my girlfriend said they changed the ending, and the original ending in the book was far superior, and maybe it was a little bit too daring for them to sort of do that, but it kind of affected the movie, and you end up with a very kind of weak movie all round. And I read Da Vinci Code before I saw the film as well, so going in it wasn't any real surprises, and I think when you kind of base a movie on a book, I think there should be some adjustments to surprise the audience. If they can create a better ending than the book, then do so, but if they change the ending and it kind of ruins the whole from book to movie, then it's not worth doing. But in the case of The Shining, it's one of those things where I think more people have seen the film than read the book, so if you read the book then went to see the film back in the 80s, then you may be very frustrated by the changes made, but I think you may end up also being surprised and quite happy because the movie does something completely different and it's quite original but borrows a few elements from it. So it's a fine line to walk across with adapting material and trying to please the fans of the book and surprise them as well. Question number 3. What do you think is the most influential comic book movie of all time? Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, or the Avengers? Well, it's clear that it's Superman, the movie. Batman and Spider-Man, Avengers all followed after Superman. Sam Raimi borrowed a lot from Richard Donner's Superman, and if you look at Spider-Man 1 to 3, they're kind of very familiar, kind of like moments that are in the first three Superman movies, where you got the origin story, then it's kind of, Mary Jane finding out he's Spider-Man, like in Superman 2 where Lois finds out he's Superman, then 3 he turns evil, and Spider-Man 3 he turns evil. And Christopher Nolan borrowed a lot from, it was influenced by Superman the movie. So Superman the movie is the one that's kind of, set the groundwork for all other comic book movies to follow by. The next question is from Nick. Are there any films you wish had a Blu-ray release that haven't been given one yet, either for your own personal reasons or for purposes of a retrospective? Also, what movie posters do you own? Tough question, Nick. I don't think there's that many films left out there that I don't own in high definition. Nothing really springs to mind. Actually, Supergirl the movie. That hasn't been given any HD update, which is surprising because when the Supergirl TV show got its Blu-ray release, or when it first aired on TV, Warner Brothers did nothing about it. They didn't release the Blu-ray of the film to sort of do some boost some promotional stuff, make more sales. This seems crazy because Helen Slater's in the TV show, so I would expect though Warner Archive will probably release it through their kind of their label in limited capacity. So as soon as that's kind of released, I can grab hold of it and then review it at some point because I need to go back to Supergirl. Movie posters. I don't actually own that many. I own also the original Superman movie posters, the British quads. I have of Superman 1, 2 and 3. No, 1, 2 and 4, sorry, which are kind of landscape posters. The Superman 3 poster I own is a kind of portrait one, which is Superman smashing out of the computer wall and flying down towards Richard Pryor, which I think is the best poster for Superman 3. The theatrical one where he's holding Gus Gorman in his arms is a bit crap. And the computer one, which is often used for Japanese posters and album covers, is interesting, but doesn't really have much Superman in it. He's just kind of flying along the side. So yeah, I was a bit picky about what I wanted to own. Other posters I own, Back to the Future 25th anniversary poster, which I still got kind of rolled up somewhere. I got that when I was at Cineworld. That's the only poster I ever kind of had, because obviously a lot of staff takes on the posters home with them, and that's the only one I ever took. Mindhorn poster. I'll show a picture. Oh, pointing the wrong way. I'll show a picture of what it looks like. I got given that for free when I went to a screening at the Picture House Cinema. And I've got Matt Ferguson's posters of RoboCop and Superman, the movie he did, and I've got a reprint of Masters of the Universe, which some of you probably seen in some videos I've done in the past. But they're the only ones I currently own. Next question is from Sylvester. After seeing the Justice League film, would you say your hopes for a proper Superman in the next film, which will probably be Man of Steel 2? See, Man of Steel 2 is technically Batman vs Superman, isn't it? But if they do another Superman film, I'm sure they'll continue with that direction of the character now. So Superman acting like Superman again. Next question is from Philip. What do you think of the Matrix series of movies, and what do you make of reports that they are going to reboot it? Wouldn't it be better if they spent the budget for that one movie on a bunch of smaller original movies that might start a new franchise if they are successful? I do like the Matrix movies. The first one is very, very good. It was mind-blowing at the time when I saw it back in 1999. It was like, I presume very much like people when they saw Star Wars back in the 70s, or Superman the movie, seeing visual effects you'd never seen before, and the Matrix seeing all that kind of bullet time stuff was just mind-blowing. I know they had done a little bit of bullet time effects work in Lost in Space, but that was kind of very blurry and a bit not very well realised. But the Matrix sequels were a major letdown for me. I remember when Matrix Reloaded came out, they had MTV were doing sort of promotions about the film, obviously, and that's when MTV covered more movies than music at the time. And they had these people coming out of the screening of Reloaded going, "It's the best film ever. It's better than the first one." And I was like, "Really?" So when I went to see Matrix Reloaded, I was so gutted. I was like, "This is crap." I mean, despite the movies, Matrix 2 and 3 have amazing soundtracks, wonderful cinematography, really good direction, great miniature work in there as well. It's not all CGI. And there's some great ideas, but it's full of very kind of ponderous, kind of pretentious dialogue. And it wasn't really what I expected, because when I talked about Zion and the city and stuff in the first one, you think, oh, wow, your imagination perceived a better movie. And when you saw it in Reloaded, where they were having a massive rave in this cave underground, I was like, meh, it's a bit crap. But yeah, I don't think they should reboot it. They should, yeah, Warner should invest this money in some other properties and see where they go from there. Next question is from Robert. I really enjoyed the Superman 4 documentary. Thank you very much. Any ideas on potential future documentaries? Well, the next video I'm going to be working on, it's going to be with Richard Jackson. We're going to be doing a video on Street Fighter 2. Not the movie, not the anime. We're doing a kind of retrospective kind of thing on the video games from Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior, probably up until Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So that'll be covering that series. I won't be covering Street Fighter 3 and the Alpha and Street Fighter 4. It's just really kind of discussing that series and how it impacted me and others in the UK. So I'm going to try and interview some other people, maybe some people in the press who worked in video game magazines at the time. So that will be the next project I'll be working on. But I'll announce something more in detail in the coming months. In regards to kind of film-related stuff, it's quite funny because a lot of people thought I was going to be doing more shooting location stuff, which is an absolute ball ache to do. And if I did do it again in future, I'd have to have a bigger team, and so I can pass on all the crappy jobs to them. Well, ones that I find most stressful. Some people are asking for things like, do a video on aliens, like shooting locations. I'm like, it's all shot at Pinewood. There's not much to do. But next one's going to be Street Fighter 2, and then when it's movie related, it probably won't be shooting locations. It'll be something completely different. So just to sort of provide people with some more original stuff, because if you keep doing shooting location stuff, you just end up being known for doing that, and that's what I don't want to be known for. And they are not fun, because you can go somewhere, you think where you thought it was filmed, and it's all changed, or it's like you're in the wrong area, and you're running out of time, money, travelling and stuff. It's just a nightmare. Next question is from Andre. With the brand new T2 Blu-ray, how was it in your eyes? Was the digital restoration as good in 2D? Did you enjoy the new documentary? Would you have preferred it a different way? I got the T2 4K Blu-ray for Christmas. Picture transfer wise, now there was a lot of complaints from when they showed the trailers and stuff, and when I presented it theatrically, because the colour corrections made and digital noise reduction, which I didn't see much digital noise reduction when I saw it in the cinema. I thought it was a very good presentation. The 3D was okay. It wasn't like mind-blowing. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. Most of the time with 3D, you put the glasses on and you forget after 20 minutes. But when I watched it in 4K, now this is not a proper review of this Blu-ray, of this 4K version. But I thought the picture looked a bit unimpressive. Some parts look washed out. The colours don't seem right. I think they've pushed the teal a little bit too much. Maybe that was the intention at the time, but they couldn't do it. I know the DP and James Cameron said there are things they couldn't do at the time they wanted to correct. The sound I don't think is that impressive. I think they've kind of really dialed back some of Brad Fiddel's score, which is a big no-no for me. They should never do that. So yeah, I need to kind of watch it again and give a proper review later in the coming weeks, and let people know more detail about its transfer. The documentary is very good. It's good to see Ed Furlong, who's put on quite a bit of weight actually recently. There's a line producer they interviewed, Dennis Muren, ILM guy, and William Wisher, James Cameron, obviously, Arnold, Robert Patrick, and the guy who played Dyson, can't remember his name, I do apologise, and Brad Fiddell. So they've got interesting people involved. So sadly, no Linda Hamilton. But it was very informative. Some extra trivia I didn't know. It's only about 55 minutes. I wish it was longer. Because T2 is one of the biggest sequels, action movies ever made. And I don't know, it seems they've put some effort in, but not the full amount. I would like to see something more comprehensive. Like they've done with like Star Wars or Alien, whatever. I think Terminator needs that kind of dealio where you got the Terminator 1 and 2, really. Or to actually, well, let's get them all in. But like to do that quadrilogy kind of thing where you've got the filmmakers' reactions over the years, so they can look back on Terminator 3 and go, well, this worked, this didn't, etc. Blah blah blah. Something more detailed, something like the Alien set with Terminator. Next question is from Wit. Question number 1. Out of all the live action films, what is your favourite interpretation of the Batman costume and the Superman costume? Which you already know this answer. I don't know why you're asking me this. Christopher Reeve Superman outfit is perfect. Never change it. Works wonderfully. And the best Batman suit. Now, this may be slightly controversial, or maybe not. I don't know. I think the Michael Keaton Batman suit from the '89 movie is the best. I know it's more refined come Returns, but I think the kind of the bulkiness and the kind of the colour of it and the sort of roughness around the edges works really well for me for Batman. I always the utility belt, even though it looks lovely, it has no function at all apart from things sliding along, and he can't turn his neck. But I know it just looks great in the '89 film, and at the end when he's all battered and bruised, the suit looks brilliant. There's some great stills of him where he's all like kind of bleeding nose and stuff, and it's all like dusty like cowl. Yeah, that's the best version of the Batman suit. Question number 2. Which 2017 film would you award Best Cinematography, and which film would you award Best Score? Best photography for a movie is Blade Runner 2049. Very easy, that one. And score, I would probably say Alien Covenant. I loved the use of the Jerry Goldsmith score and how the new composers kind of used it with his own new original material, and it's probably the score I've listened to the most since it came out, and the majority of this year in terms of new film scores I've had playing on in the background as I've been writing and editing. The Blade Runner 2049 score is good, but it's kind of lacks the moody kind of blues of the original, and it's Hans Zimmer can't compare to Vangelis, no way. But it's a good score, don't get me wrong, but I think Alien Covenant kind of just won it over for me. The next question is from Neil. Hi Oliver, after the limited release of T2 in cinemas, is there any other film you were too young to see in a cinema on release that you'd like to see get a re-release like that? Personally, I'd love to see Heat on the big screen. Good question, Neil. Big Trouble in Little China. I'd love to see it on the big screen. I know that the Prince Charles does 70mm presentations of it, and now and again. And the Prince Charles kind of just relies on nostalgia to sort of, to get you to go in. But it really varies on the quality of the prints. I mean, I don't want to see a 35mm print or 70mm print that's completely scratched to buggery. It's just a waste of money. I might just watch the Blu-ray and be done with it. But anything else, I mean, if there's a popular movie from, say, the 70s, 80s, whatever, that's coming up for an anniversary, I think the studio should just re-release it for a week in a cinema if it's a really big movie. I know next year's the 40th anniversary of Superman the movie. Maybe Warner Brothers will do something about that. Probably not. There'll probably be like a one-off screening somewhere down at the BFI, and you've got it'll be in a small screen as well, and it will sell out after 1 hour. Any John Carpenter movie I'd like to see on a big screen. Probably not Ghost of Mars or Village of the Damned. Anything else? Robocop 2 would be great to see on the big screen if that was remastered. I'd love to see Robocop 2. It's such a good laugh. You've got a bunch of people. But yeah, that's probably about it so far. But if anything else comes to mind, I'll let you know. The next question is from Phil. If you were to compare Guy Ritchie to Matthew Vaughn, who do you think is a better director? I'd probably say Guy Ritchie, a stronger visualist, and he's done a wider variety of movies. Matthew Vaughn is still kind of the early days of him. He's just done, an X-Men movie and Kingsman and was it Layer Cake? I think he did. So I'll wait and see what he does in the future. But at the moment, Guy Ritchie's the better of the two. Question number 2: have you ever thought about doing a Fix It in Post special episode where you guys briefly review some truly horrible films like The Room, Bad Boy Bubby, Laser Mission, and other films you guys mentioned in the Disaster Artist review? Not really. But I had discussed with Richard about him doing like a video showing his B-movie collection. He's got some proper shite on his shelves, like the movie called Future Kick. And we were kind of discussing, kind of making up ideas of film titles for a prequel to that movie or a sequel. And a prequel would be Past Punch, which Richard came up with. If there's any idea about doing kind of reviewing kind of really schlocky movies, then Richard's probably the guy to do that. And I'll have a word with him next time I see him and see what we can come up with. But when I get a proper studio for Fix It in Post, because as we only shoot it in Richard's living room, just put the set up every time. It takes an hour to put it up and take it down. Once I get a proper set in the studio, then I'm going to kind of expand Fix It in Post to doing things like news reports on movie stuff and trailer discussions or breakdowns, maybe with whoever's on the show. But it would have to be done in a very kind of efficient manner. It couldn't be just kind of, dragging out, because I want the episodes to be not too long, not like over an hour. It has to be just under an hour, of like 50 minutes max. So obviously reviewing movies as well, you've got to make sure you cover them, because they're the most important thing, not just a discussion on a trailer or some random news that could end up being fake or just like clickbait rubbish you just reported on. But yeah, so Rich is the best guy to go to in regards to B-movie schlock. Final question from Phil. Who do you think composed the definitive Batman movie theme? Well, that's an easy one. It is Danny Elfman. Next question is from RST001. Hello, Oliver. Recently you have covered Stranger Things and Star Trek Discovery. I'm curious if you have ever seen any other independent web series produced and distributed entirely on the internet, pre-Netflix and maybe before YouTube. Would you consider covering this format? Not really. But I didn't really watch. To be honest, I haven't seen that many kind of web-based series. I know there's that new Star Trek series people are doing. That's kind of like season 4 of Star Trek. It's supposed to be amazing. I've seen one episode, and it was very well done. So maybe that may be an option. So I'll have a chat with Richard and Brad, because Brad loves Star Trek as well. Also, I want to review that Street Fighter, the Assassin's Fist thing they did, that Machinima produced, that was given a Blu-ray release later on DVD, and that was really impressive. I remember watching that when it came out. Like each week there'd be a new episode, I think, and I was really impressed with the production values of that and and staying faithful to the characters. So yeah, I think Street Fighter would be a good option, and that new Star Trek show. Next question is from Roy. Having just watched your Superman 4 documentary, enjoyed it by the way, I wondered, have you had the opportunity to watch the new 3-hour extended version of Superman the movie? If so, what are your thoughts? Maybe a commentary or updated retrospective would be good. I wouldn't be updating a retrospective on it, but I'd promised a Blu-ray review early this month, and I didn't do it. So happening in January. I saw the film years ago on VHS, because back in the late 90s I was doing, trading with other Superman collectors, and the 3-hour cut of Superman was always something that everyone always wanted. It was shown in Australia, Ireland, I believe. Maybe no, Superman 2 Extended was shown in Ireland. It was shown in America, obviously, when it first premiered. It was extended and shown over 2 nights, and then it was kind of rerun throughout the 80s, just played on one day. So yeah, I'd already seen it. I was very familiar with it, but I got it just because I wanted to see everything kind of in widescreen and high definition. It's got its problems. It's some great stuff they cut out, like some great Zoptic effects, and but a lot of the stuff they put in, just because they extended it to get as much money as they could on advertising when I showed it. The Soul Kinds, and Richard Donner doesn't like this cut, disowns that cut. He prefers, his theatrical or director's cut. Well, I prefer the theatrical cut all round. It's very efficient with its editing. It's even though there's some good stuff in the special edition or director's cut they did in 2000, sorry. There's bits I'm not too happy with, so I think the theatrical was definitely the one for me. But yeah, I will discuss the 3-hour cut in more detail in January. Next question is from Daniel. If you could have any video game made into a movie done well, what would it be and why? For me, it would be a Mass Effect movie directed by James Gunn. I've been asked this question a number of times in the past. I think the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil movies are terrible, but I still think there's a good Resident Evil movie to be made. If they took the whole Resident Evil remaster they did for the GameCube and was re-released on the latest generation consoles, like last year or whatever, or the year before. If they turned that into a film, it would be amazing. I mean, I'd love to see that. I'd love to be involved in something like that. Any other? I mean, there is a Tomb Raider movie coming out this year, which may work. I don't know. But there isn't really that many games top of my mind that would be... Oh, actually, Alien Isolation. That had a great story. I played through that again recently. I think if they could... Because it kind of goes off on its own adventure. It's not like, it's got Ripley's daughter on its own kind of separate timeline. Dealio, so I think that could work. That had some great dialogue and some great characters in it, and I think they could really, instead of, if they wanted to give people what they kind of want, but in that sort of timeline as Ripley, they could easily do it. And and do it. Don't spend like 100 million. Spend like 50 million on it, and make it kind of a small kind of dealio movie with set in corridors, set on Nostromo. So yeah, I'd like to see Alien Isolation. Question number 2: if you were given the option, what film/series would you want to be part of, and what role? E.g., director, cinematographer, etc. Well, actually, as I just mentioned, Resident Evil as a video game to movie, I'd like to be involved in that capacity. Maybe writing and editing, not directing. And a Superman film, obviously. Creative consultant. What the do's and don'ts of what when it comes to making a Superman film. Yeah. And the question number 3: do you think a Jerry Anderson cinematic universe would work? Now, Daniel had sent me a link to a website which kind of suggests different actors to play the characters from Jerry Anderson's movies, like Captain Scarlet, Stingray, Thunderbirds. And they're all really well cast, these characters were. So I think it could work, a Jerry Anderson cinematic universe. But I think it would be incredibly difficult to do. And if you put that towards any director and said, hey, do you want to make a Thunderbirds movie that's going to lead on to Stingray and whatever, they'd be like, this is too much of a challenge, because Thunderbirds and those kind of shows all kind of stem from 60s sci-fi and their ideals of the future. So to make them work in a sort of in a mainstream kind of a way, in live action especially, that would be so difficult. And if anyone could do it, then, and as I don't know who could do it actually. Maybe Christopher Nolan could maybe do it, but would he be interested in Thunderbirds and Stingray? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I'd love to see it, but I can imagine it being very difficult to realise on the big screen. The next question is from Duncan. Hey Ollie, I've watched a lot of the Last Jedi reviews just recently and saw that some reviewers didn't give their opinion on the film after the first viewing, which I thought was a cop-out. They made up some bullshit excuse as to why they couldn't rate it at the time, went to see it again and then rated it. As a film reviewer, what do you think of this approach to reviewing movies? Is it something you consider for future Fix It and Post episodes? Great job on the review with Richard, by the way. Okay, if a YouTuber has said they're going to review a movie and they post a video saying Star Wars whatever review, but don't give their review in the video and say, I'm not going to give you my final opinion until I see it again. That video itself is just clickbait nonsense. If you're following people who do that kind of thing, don't subscribe to that nonsense. Don't follow that shit. It's just a waste of your time. And they're just doing it just to get a little bit of ad revenue to say, oh, I may watch it again, or you got to wait till next week. They can just say that in a Twitter post. Just say, I saw it, but I need to see it again to give my final thoughts on the movie. That's all you need to do. It's difficult when you see a film and you've got to review it, shortly afterwards. You've got to collect all your thoughts and make sure you remember everything. And you don't always remember all the fine details, because me and Richard and Brad or Duncan, and we've reviewed stuff in the past, and someone's gone, oh, you missed this bit out. It's like, well, sadly, we forgot. We try and make a list of things to mention in a review, but it's people's opinions often change as well. If you loved a movie on first viewing and you rated it accordingly, you said, I gave it a 4 out of 5, and then maybe a year later you watch it again and think, well, that was a bit shit, what was I thinking? But in most cases for me, if I don't like a movie when I see it at the cinema, I don't tend to enjoy it more and more as time goes by. If a movie I kind of was unsure about, I may go to liking it more or maybe less. But generally the case, if I dislike a movie, say The Mummy, the Tom Cruise movie, I wouldn't watch that again and suddenly think, this film's amazing. Oh my God, I'd say, this is awful. It's probably worse than when I saw it the first time. But yes, if you follow people that do those sort of shenanigans where they don't give you their full review but have to post a video to tell you why, just don't watch it. You know exactly what you will know exactly what they're doing. So yeah. The final question is from Alex. Question number 1: have you seen Brawl in Cell Block 99? If so, what do you think about it? If not, I highly recommend it. Hi Alex. No, I've not seen this movie. I've not even heard of it. So yeah, I'll have a look at the trailer and see if it tickles my fancy. Question number 2: what movies are you looking forward to next year, specifically outside the realm of franchise films? I had a look at the films of 2018, and most were franchise films or superhero movies. So what I'm going to do is give you 3 films which I'm looking forward to seeing that aren't superhero movies. Number 1, Ready Player One. That seems quite interesting now. The more I look into it, and the more clips I see, and think, oh, this could be quite good. Number 2, Tomb Raider. Now, when I saw the trailer, I thought it was quite a well-edited trailer, and some people were like, no, they didn't like it, and don't like how where the movie's going. And but I love the recent video games. I thought they were superb, and I think this also borrows a lot from them. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Fingers crossed it works. It also has the editor of the first Tomb Raider movie with Angelina Jolie, Stuart Baird, who was brought on to edit and save that movie for being a complete disaster. He managed to salvage the movie to make it kind of workable, but still doesn't really make much sense. So yeah, that's kind of interesting because I brought him back to edit the new one. And the final one would be The Predator. I'm a big fan of Shane Black, and he's got his old writing friend involved, Fred Dekker, who wrote Monster Squad and directed that movie and directed Robocop 3. So hopefully Fred's got some good ideas up his sleeve, and I'm sure him and Shane will give us a great Predator movie. But one of my viewers had sent me a very early script, I think, for The Predator, and he kind of, I didn't read it, but he said, he gave me kind of a rundown of it, and he said it's a bit weird, and he wasn't highly impressed with it, put it that way. So hopefully that was an early draft that's been revised and improved. But hopefully they will be releasing a trailer soon, because it's been in production for ages. It's not out till, say next year. Which is in a couple of days, but I think the summer of 2018. So yeah, those 3 movies. And the final question from Alex. The movie I'm most excited for is Apostle, directed by Gareth Evans, the guy who did the Raid movies. What are your thoughts on Gareth's body of work thus far? Do you enjoy The Raid? I've seen The Raid 1 and 2, and I thought they were great movies. Number 2 especially, where it kind of went from the tower block setting to out on the streets and the big, just expanded the whole world of these movies. I thought fight choreography and the stunt work is incredible. Really, really impressive stuff. And this guy, I don't think had shown any kind of, I don't think he'd done anything that extreme in terms of action movies before, and just kind of showed us something completely original. Well, not essentially original, but just something that was just an extra element to martial arts movies, just giving it an extra boost. He did a wonderful job. I've not seen any other movies by Gareth Evans, so I can't comment on his movies outside of The Raid. But if his new movie is just as good as The Raid 1 and 2, then I'll be happy. Well, everyone, that is the end of the Q&A. Hope you all have a great New Year's, and I will be back in 2018 with a review of Bruce Lee's Game of Death. Okay, everyone, take care, and I'll see you all next time. If you enjoyed the video, you can find more on my YouTube channel, and also you can follow me on Twitter. If you want to help support the channel, you can donate through Patreon and receive monthly perks such as updates on the latest news on my channel, early access to reviews and commentaries before they go live on YouTube. Even the smallest donation can help keep this channel going. Thank you.